This is Why Am I a Mets Fan? A podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskoski.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into another edition of the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we are two Syracuse-based sports reporters. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Here to talk some more free agency. Today, we are focused on the one, the only, Kyle Tucker. Seal clap. How you doing, Ashley? Looking so trendy today.
I'm great.
I gotta
Thanks.
say.
I don't know, trendy or like, do I look like a pilgrim?
No.
Could be.
No, a
few and far
trendy pilgrim.
between.
Absolutely. No.
Okay, trendy pilgrim.
I like it. I think it's a cool vibe.
Thank
it's
you.
interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Yes, the first shoot, well, not the first, but the first one in the new year finally dropped. Alex Bregman signed with the Cubs, 5-year deal. Over the weekend. And I feel like that is really a positive sign for the fact that the free agent market might actually start moving. Now there is smoke. There are rumors around Kyle Tucker. He's down to 3 teams. I'm sure anyone listening to this podcast will be quite tantalized to find out that those 3 teams are the New York Mets, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, tantalizing. I didn't know if the Mets would even really be in the final 3 for Kyle Tucker. You don't look that tantalized, so maybe it's not tantalizing.
No, it's tantalizing.
I didn't know if we'd make it this far. I didn't know if we were like a real honest-to-God contender for Kyle Tucker, and it appears as though we are, but so are 2 other nice teams.
No, that's a grateful take by you in a way. You're like appreciative.
I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling happy to be alive. Glass half full type of day. Pocket full of sunshine.
Which is not normal, especially on a snowy and cold Syracuse day. So
no, I haven't seen the sun in like 4 months.
That's why you're keeping it in your pocket.
Yeah.
I'm split, right? I hate to see us back in this position where the Mets are competing with the Dodgers once again. I have to get something off my chest. I think this is a part of my anger.
Let's hear it.
A part of why I'm feeling upset. As you may know, as you do know, but our listeners don't know this, I'm dating my next door neighbor. It's like a unreal rom-com style situation.
Sort of a Hallmark movie.
Her name is Mary Kate. She goes by MK. I want to tell you guys something that she said to me that I already told Ashley. The other day, just kind of in jest, I was like, if the Mets win the World Series, I'll marry you. Do you know what this woman says to me? How devastating.
It truly was.
It was really, it took us both by surprise.
A smack in the face.
It was awful. She, in essence, the sentiment was, well, then you must not want to marry me that much. That would have been hurtful enough.
Goodness.
But on top of it, because she listens to this podcast, she said, if that's the way you felt, you should have picked another team like the Dodgers. No. I am feeling trauma since that moment. I know that our Dodgers fans will appreciate it. I'm only telling that story because I know what our audience is. But I am sad to announce, she is like sort of new to baseball, sad to announce that I've taught her too much.
Yeah, she knows a little too much.
The baseball discussions are over from this point on.
In the weeds. No, that is, if somebody said that to me, pick another team like the Dodgers, for the record, she's right.
I know.
However, the truth hurts, you know?
The truth hurts
That's
completely.
a tough one. That is a big blow.
All that to say, I'm needing a win from the Mets. And actually, I'm going to go a step further and say, and this is no shade to the Dodgers fans, but I actually agree with something that you said off air just now before when we were coming onto this podcast. You kind of said that you felt like Toronto was maybe in the lead and that the Mets were second. I don't really think the Dodgers are necessarily here to play. And you could just play that clip back in a week from now when it says that the Dodgers signed Kyle Tucker. But I don't actually think they're going to be the ones who end up with Kyle Tucker for no other reason than I think there are other teams like the Blue Jays and the Mets that want him more and need him more.
I agree. No, I totally agree. I think that, so it's Dodgers, Blue Jays, Mets. I feel personally that the Blue Jays are going to sign him. We're both probably wrong, and the Mets will probably sign him in 2 days' time. But Sunday night, Jim Duquette tweeted, a league source confirmed to me that the 3 main teams involved in the Tucker negotiations have all met with the player, either in person or over Zoom, as part of the recruiting process. Will be interesting to see if any of the 3 teams increase their offers soon to separate themselves. Other reporters said that the meeting with the Mets went well, and the Mets are, quote, cautiously optimistic about their chances in the race for Tucker. You know what cautiously optimistic is giving? Cautiously optimistic is really quite similar to when David Stern said, we'll be in touch about Pete Alonso. Cautiously optimistic and we'll be in touch are sort of in the same category of like you're not really that enthralled or tantalized.
I love when you say the word enthralled.
Thank you.
Because you actually never do you say I'm enthralled. You say I'm not too enthralled by.
Not too enthralled by.
Love that phrase. You know how I would say mostly women, but maybe some men too, are making those ins and outs lists for 2026?
Oh, I have one, and it's extensive.
Wait, I know, and the podcast would be so interested to hear, but
No,
we're
the
not going to go
podcast
down
would
that
be in
road.
shambles.
Let's get to know you all a little bit better, but it is a great list, I have to say. I've heard it. The point is, we'll be in touch. Out. Whatever. What was the other one that you just said?
Optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. Way out.
Both of those are not sounding very promising.
Enthralled. In.
No, I think that, and this is nothing, I mean, there's been no further reports on to really detail, you know, how good of a chance any of the three teams have. But I agree with you. I don't think the Dodgers need him, and therefore I don't think they're going to do a full court press in the way that maybe the Blue Jays are, maybe the Mets are. I think the Blue Jays are going to sign him because I could see them going for the highest amount of money, and I think that a 28-year-old Kyle Tucker, you know, in his free agency is certainly going to try to get himself the most amount of money. And if the Blue Jays add Kyle Tucker, I mean, their lineup it's just murderer's row, devastating. I don't ever want to see the Toronto Blue Jays again, ever. The Dodgers are reportedly seeking a shorter deal with higher average annual value, which is right alongside the Mets, would be in that same bucket, more of a shorter term, 3-4 year situation, but maybe we'll pay you $30-40 million a year. That concerns me because in the same breath, I just said, I don't know if the Dodgers need him. Yeah, but if I'm Kyle, you know, and I, for instance, have the choice between the Dodgers and the Mets, I mean, who are you going to pick? We saw who Edwin Diaz chose.
Yeah, we see who a few people are choosing in that situation.
Right.
No, I understand what you mean. I do think, as far as the money is concerned, let's just say that the Blue Jays were going to be the team that were more interested in a longer term deal, right? And the Mets, because David Stearns has commitment issues, can't do that. I do think that
For some unknown reason, they can't. Nobody knows why.
It clearly has something to do with either his childhood or a past relationship. It's not my job to figure that out. The point is, I think that the Mets could make it worth his while from a money standpoint, if that was the case.
Certainly.
They absolutely could up the price. They could figure out a way to, I don't know, make it more tantalizing for him to come here. So I guess it does depend on what he's looking for and how much he's willing to bet on himself. But I do know what you mean. If it's shorter term Dodgers or shorter term Mets, damn, for no other reason. Like think about it this way: if he's going to be on a shorter term deal, then he obviously needs to perform. He needs to overperform so that the next deal is great. And if you're going to overperform, don't you want to be on a roster that has all this talent? Don't you want to go to a place where your resume can be stronger? Don't you want to pick the place of employment where you actually have the chance to be the most successful? And I guess you can't really know for sure who that's going to be, but you have to just look at the past track record of the past, 2 years plus.
And if you are on a shorter term deal, who actually has a better chance to win in the next 3 to 4 years? I hate to say it, but we all know what the answer to that is. I don't know. I mean, from Tucker's perspective, that's why I say I think he's going to be a Blue Jay, because if I'm Kyle Tucker and I'm 28 and I'm looking for my, lifetime free agency, big money deal here, I want that. And I probably want that security of knowing that I'm signed through my prime. If I'm Kyle Tucker, do I want to be a free agent again at, say, 32? Maybe I do, because maybe actually, if the Dodgers, the Mets are going to pay me $40 million a year for 4 years, and then I'm a free agent again at 32, and I've still performed throughout my prime, maybe that could benefit me. We've seen it benefit. Pete Alonso was benefited by taking that, 1 year, 2 year out with opt-out situation from the Mets. He made more money at the end of the day.
Yep.
So maybe that's not out of the realm of possibility. But guys are just different with their preferences. Maybe.
I like how your brain just kind of switched mid-thought.
Yeah,
You're like, but wait, it could all be okay.
But it could be all right. I don't know. From a Blue Jays perspective, I think that the Blue Jays, aside from Addison Barger, you look at the Blue Jays and who they have under team control after 2026, they have no lefty bats aside from Barger after 2026. They also have no outfielders other than Springer and Dalton Varsho. So from a pure needs perspective, it's certainly the Blue Jays and it's the Mets, because the Mets have approximately 1.5 outfielders right now. But also, I'm talking about how the Blue Jays might give him the highest, deal and the most long-term contract. The Blue Jays are also already well over the bargaining tax threshold of $304 million. Now, the Mets and the Dodgers are like, they go over that every year and nobody, but if you're the Blue Jays, maybe you don't want to keep pushing that. Maybe the Blue Jays are sort of at the limit of their budget.
To your point, when we talk about who actually needs this young gentleman, I think that the Mets...
Young Kyle.
Yeah, this young Kyle, this friend of the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friend until he signs elsewhere.
And then he'll be an old friend.
Yeah.
I will say, I think from a need standpoint, you got to put the Mets up there as someone who certainly needs him. Let's just talk about the fact that they need an outfielder. And I see you put here in your notes, he could potentially play right field, pushing Juan Soto to left, having Tyrone Taylor and Carson Bench, maybe Jet Williams, all kind of in the mix for center field.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Kyle Tucker came here, Juan Soto would definitely be the one that gets bumped?
Probably. I don't really see why Soto would have an issue with it. I mean, Tucker's been a right fielder, the past few years, so I don't really see why Soto, but that's something you do have to clear with Soto if you're the Mets, because, you're not trying to have a disgruntled guy who's already on your team.
And I kind of think he does get disgruntled easily.
It's possible.
I'm not going to lie. I do think there are certain things where he gets kind of strict about what he wants. So I'd be curious to see how that shakes out, to be honest with you.
But if I'm Juan Soto, I mean, right now, I got, Jorge Polanco as my protection. I'm certainly tantalized by the idea of Kyle Tucker behind me in the lineup if I'm Juan Soto.
100%. Let's talk about Tucker. He is 28. He is coming off of a season where he slashed 266, 377, 464 with an 841 OPS, 22 home runs, 73 RBI. Injuries have played a role for him in a couple seasons, and I guess that is something worth noting.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was a big part of the reason why the Cubs were sort of a mess down the stretch last year. I mean, but you're talking about this, and listen, this is a guy in his prime. He's 28 years old. He has been one of, if not the best, outfielders in baseball for the past few years. I mean, I'm not going to say he's better than Soto. So one of the best outfielders in baseball consistently for the past few seasons. And you take a look at, okay, if he joins the Mets, all of a sudden I'm sitting here saying the Mets have no outfielders. All of a sudden, if we get Kyle Tucker, we have Juan Soto and Kyle Tucker on the two corners of the outfield. And then we have a very promising Tyrone Taylor can step in there until maybe Carson Bench is ready. But Carson Bench is one of the top outfield prospects in baseball. All of a sudden, that makes a lot of sense to me. Two veterans, superstars at the corners, and you give the guy in center field, a prospect, a young guy, a chance to make his mark. All of a sudden, if the Mets sign Kyle Tucker, that is giving top 3 outfield in baseball.
It's also putting their entire offseason in a completely different light.
Oh, the whole narrative is shifted. It's all turned around.
Finally, you would really be able to look and say, oh, I completely see the vision.
Yeah.
I totally understand why they gave certain players away. It makes sense to me why they would give away Nimmo, who, let's be honest, was a good player and was a pretty good hitter for the Mets, away for a guy like Semien. And it makes sense why they wanted to up their defense, which I know is a big priority to them. It kind of makes sense if you throw Kyle Tucker in there and you get some of that offense back, because that's still the piece that I feel concerned about.
Definitely.
I feel like for the amount of offense that they gave away, you haven't seen that actually be replaced yet, and you need it. I mean, honestly, like you mentioned, the outfield, like if the season started today, the plan would be entirely unclear at several positions.
I circle back. I have been saying it for 3 to 4 weeks. Who the hell is playing left field?
Ashley's going to write a book in 2026, and that's what it's going to be called.
Does
a book by
know?
Ashley Wenskoski. No, I know what you mean. And then, like we were talking about earlier when we weren't even on this podcast, if the Mets got Kyle Tucker, a few other things would start to become clear as well. First base would seem like it has a little bit more of a plan and a little bit more flexibility. You could have Vientos and Polanco in there. Someone's DHing. Yeah. You have Semien at second base. And honestly, I'm going to say one note about Tyrone Taylor. I have long been a Tyrone Taylor fan, and I still am. I understand that he goes through slumps at the plate, but I actually do think if you want to talk about defense and upping your defense, he is someone who has been phenomenal as far as that's concerned.
Gold Glover, I believe.
And could get you through that time period when Carson Bench is still not necessarily ready, but he most certainly will be not too far in the future.
I agree, but that's the thing for me. I agree with you. I actually happen to like Tyrone Taylor.
too.
I do not think he's an everyday player, but as a piece on your team, I think he brings a lot to the table. However, with all that we're discussing, with kind of what's in flux with the Mets, the lineup, who's going to play where, I am not interested in a situation where, because you look at what's happening at first base, what's going to maybe happen with DH, what's going to maybe happen with center field, how many positions are we going to fucking platoon? Like, genuinely.
I know.
I need a bona fide everyday outfielder to be out there day in and day out. I don't give a shit if Juan Soto has to move to left field and Kyle Tucker wants to play right. That's fine, but just have them do that every day. You can't have 3 to 4 platoon positions and be going into the start of the 2026 season being like, yeah, guys, okay, looks good. That doesn't look good.
Too much platooning right now.
Anyway, Kyle Tucker would solidify that. Also, David Stearns has made it very evident, very clear that he's prioritizing defense this offseason. All right, that's fine. Kyle Tucker, this is where I know some things are going to be in flux. He had -2, -2 outs above average and defensive runs saved in right field last season. He actually didn't have a great defensive year last year, but again, there were some injuries in there. But between 2021 and 2024 with the Astros, he posted a combined total of 30 defensive runs saved in right. So you have to think that a healthy Kyle Tucker, with all of his abilities at play, would actually be a good defensive pickup. I mean, the guy's 28. He's not, 32. I think defensively, he can be a good solution for them in right field. There's healthy.
I agree. There's no other way to say this, and there's no other way around it. This would be an amazing pickup for the Mets, and I would actually be okay if they did have to sign him on for a little bit longer than David Stearns deemed necessary. Like, you don't have to commit to everything in this world, but could you commit to something? Could you stand for something?
David Stearns committed to Juan Soto last offseason, and it was like, I'm never doing that again.
No, literally. David Stearns was like, I'm married and I hate it. I don't know what to tell you, brother.
I know. No, I think that on the topic of Tucker, though, think about it another way. If the Mets, and this is just us dreaming, because I full well, just for our Dodgers fans that are listening, I want you all to know that I believe the Blue Jays are going to sign him. But if the Blue Jays don't sign him, I just know that notification from Jeff Passan is coming in about 3 days' time, and it's going to say, Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, $200 million for 4 years. They're going to pay him $50 million a year while they're at it. Although, do the Dodgers want to go over $400 million for their payroll? I'm not sure. Anyways, and it's going to be 199 million deferred. Anyway, beyond that, I do think that if the Mets were to sign Kyle Tucker is the big fish this offseason. He is the bona fide number 1 free agent. Who got the bona fide number 1 free agent last offseason? That might be the New York Mets with Juan Soto. I'm going to show up to this podcast with a different attitude if the Mets sign Kyle Tucker in the near future. Just letting you all know.
Little pep in your
step. Putting that all in your head. All of a sudden, my spark is back.
Little strut.
Yep. It's all back on.
The sunshine out of the pocket, out in the open.
Out in the open.
I know what you mean. That is actually a great point. The Mets really have an opportunity here to go from complete and total disappointment, which they were,
catastrophe,
to now mediocre, to then the best, the greatest, and everything's okay again. Mind you, that's also just a little bit dramatic, but that's how New York fans are. Mets and Yankees, and that's why that's how we are too.
It's very hot or very cold. There's no in between.
There has never been a time where it's been like, oh, it's all right. It's fine.
Nope.
I'm not kidding. I live on Long Island, as you know. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone on Long Island use the word fine ever in my life.
It is 0 or 100. It's so over or we're so back. No in between.
What is fine? Because it never actually means fine. I hate that word. Out. Fine. Good. In. Great. In. The point is, I really do think that the Mets could change the entire narrative just by getting this one player.
Definitely.
And I understand, like we clearly see, that there were some teams that wanted to go out and be aggressive all offseason. That wasn't the Mets' play. But for months now, we've been saying you have to do something here. So we understand your vision. This is that thing.
And do you know what? Beyond that, if the Mets are not the ones to sign Tucker, I feel concerned about what the pivot play is going to be. Because Bregman, if we're purely talking from a lineup offensive perspective, well, Bregman just signed. Bo Bichette's out there, but you don't need an infielder, really at all. Honestly, maybe like the Dodgers sign Bichette if, for instance, find Kyle's to sign elsewhere. Cody Bellinger, there was a lot of smoke around the Mets and Cody Bellinger for a minute. Now that's all died down, and apparently the Yankees don't want him. The Yankees are at a stalemate. Everybody's in a fight. Scott Boras is putting out things to the press. Cody Bellinger and the Yankees are not doing so well. Yeah, Cody
here
Bellinger.
comes an alliteration statement from Scott Boras.
Here comes Scott Boras saying whatever the hell comes out of his mouth. Cody Bellinger could be a fit for the Mets, I think, still, if they're not able to get Tucker. But it sort of feels like inevitable that the Yankees are going to cave and they're going to reassign Bellinger. So if you're the Mets and you don't get Kyle Tucker, who exactly are you getting to bolster that lineup at this point? The answer certainly might be no one. Making us pivot to Cody Bellinger.
Let's be really crystal clear about something. The Yankees and Cody Bellinger are at a stalemate, but it's a fake stalemate. You know what I mean?
What is that called in like a war?
Like, we're gonna have to cut this part from the episode. Somebody tell us in the comments. I'm not sure exactly where she's going with that, but I know what you're trying to say. Like, to me,
A ceasefire.
oh yes, that's it.
Maybe.
That's it.
I don't know.
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's right. The Yankees and Cody Bellinger. To me, this is that couple that always says we're on a break, but they never actually break up. They are getting back together. Do you know what I mean?
Hell.
Terrible. Never ever go on a break. For any of you single listeners
Don't
out
get me
there,
started.
it is awful. There is no reason for it. You either break up in this world or you stay together. And what happens if you go on a break and you try and get back together the next time? Nothing. The same problems happen from the first time.
Right.
Stay together or break up. That's it. We're decisive in 2026 about these kinds of things.
Decisive in.
In. And I think the Yankees have to be decisive here because I think the Cody Bellinger is their best option. I really do.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done jack shit. Like, the Yankees are kind of one of those teams that I'm feeling a little bit nervous about. I'm feeling like their fan base is going to feel mostly anger.
I agree.
And I'm not enthralled with what the Yankees have done so far this offseason at all.
I agree with you completely. The Yankees need Cody Bellinger, but also that's not really bringing a new, fresh look. The Yankees didn't win anything last year, as we've well documented, and Cody Bellinger was on the team last year. I agree that they need Bellinger, but at the same time, like, woof.
The Yankees are in trouble.
Woof. Anyway,
Really
the
in
Yankees will
trouble.
probably win the World Series.
That would be dramatic. Yeah, you're right.
No, the reports on the Yankees. So John Heyman reported that they are believed to have offered Bellinger about $155 million over 5 years. Bellinger wants 7 years. He's made that very abundantly clear throughout this process. They're trying to, quote, find new ways around the gap. Things that don't sound promising. The parties spoke through the weekend, but the difference in length is great enough that Bellinger is also weighing alternative teams while the Yankees are considering free agents Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker, although apparently not, because nobody's calling them a finalist for Kyle Tucker, so I don't know. Anyway, but who else? Here's the other thing. The Yankees need Cody Bellinger, but possibly Cody Bellinger needs the Yankees. Because who else is going to sign Cody if it's not the Yankees? Here's the thing. Cody Bellinger is not a $200 million player, and I will die on that hill if I have one hill to die on this offseason. He isn't. When is the last time? I know last year he was very good. He had a great 2025. A very good 2025. I won't say great. Very good 2025. When is the last time he's had back-to-back great seasons? You don't just hand out $200 million deals like candy. You also don't hand out 7-year deals like candy. And for all that I'm saying about the fact that Cody Bellinger could have been on a fit on the Mets, he could have been. But you know who's surely not giving Cody Bellinger 7 years on his contract?
The Mets.
David Stearns and the Mets. The Yankees need Cody Bellinger, and Cody Bellinger needs the Yankees.
It's time to make up, you guys.
It's time to get out of the fight.
No, I agree. And actually, selfishly, I sort of hope that happens soon because I actually want the Mets to be out of options. I don't really want the Mets to have a backup plan. I want them to burn their ships and I want them to sign Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
And I think that if the Yankees and Bellinger are able to make that work before the Mets have to make this decision, they will feel even more inclined to do what I believe is the right thing here. But you're absolutely right. I actually think even $155 million is in some way an overpay. I mean, come on now.
Anybody that pays Cody Bellinger like $35 million, that is a catastrophe.
I know what you mean.
A catastrophe.
There is a lot going on and it's crazy. And I'm actually in some way surprised. Like, imagine being Cody Bellinger looking down the barrel of a $155 million gun and being like, no, I need more. That's not enough for me.
Pete Alonso did it once.
I know.
But that was even 7 years. That was 7 years, 158.
You're actually so right. Oh my God, he did do that once. But it worked out for him. That is remarkable.
I know,
if you
it really
actually
is.
if you think about it. So who knows? Listen, I feel like sometimes these players always have a plan. Maybe he sees something that we just don't see. You never actually know what's going on in these negotiations.
You don't, but I will say the fact that even leaked over the weekend means that somebody's pissed off. It might have been the Scott Boras, Cody Bellinger side of things, Or it might have been the Yankees to be like, we're done with you. We actually want it known that we'd like to go shopping around elsewhere and that we're not happy with you right now. Or it could have been Scott Boras, Cody Bellinger from the perspective of, we want to make it known that maybe he's not going to be a Yankee and we are in fact shopping in other spots. But like the fact that came out this weekend isn't really a good sign.
It says something. Scott Boras just has so much fun, man. Writing his little
My
poems,
dream
practicing in the
life
mirror.
is Scott Boras. I don't want anyone to get that twisted. I would like to be the next Scott Boras.
You could be the next Scott Boras, but the things you would say wouldn't be so corny.
No.
He's got to chill a little bit with the corny things he's saying, like a tiny bit.
I agree.
But I do like the fact that he kind of has this aura of, I know I have power over all of you, and I'm mega rich.
He can do whatever the hell he wants.
It's
he can
really nice.
say whatever the hell he wants.
100%. Everybody always wants him. He doesn't need to want anybody. It's great.
Nope.
It's fantastic. Moving on, Nolan McLean was ranked as the top pitching prospect in baseball today. I would like to talk about Nolan McLean. I would also like to talk about something else. A, Jonah Tong was on this list as well. And B, all of a sudden, it does make you realize something about a broader point that I think we should discuss. If somehow they are able to solidify Kyle Tucker, the Mets this is, doesn't it kind of make you feel a little bit grateful, as much as we complained, that they did hold on to so many prospects?
Yes.
I wouldn't have wanted any trades now that I really see what there is to see.
Yeah, that was a cautiously optimistic yes, because I think that
I know
McLean is an
you
untouchable.
weren't that excited.
No, because I had to think. McLean was an untouchable, and we said that at the beginning of the offseason. Jonah Tong is also on this list. MLB Pipeline, top 10 right-handed pitching prospects ahead of 2026. Nolan McLean is at the top of the list. Jonah Tong's at 7th. None of this list really surprised me. You got Bubba Chandler, Pittsburgh at number 2, Trey Savage, number 3, Andrew Painter, number 4 for the Phillies, and then there's a few more. But those are all names that I feel like people already know. Obviously, Savage was on the biggest stage in the fall. Andrew Painter was called up for the Phillies. So these are guys that are not shocking. Jonah Tong as the 7th best pitching prospect in all of baseball. That did surprise me a little bit, and it makes me think. It does make me think, what could Jonah Tong get in return?
Really?
Yeah, it does.
Do you have anything in mind?
I mean, no.
But you're
Scooble.
curious.
Scooble. But other than that, not really.
Right. Yeah.
Or what he could get in return next season, or what he. I'm not saying I think Jonah Tong's great, and I would like to see him pitch on the New York Mets. But you know, if you have all of this pitching depth, even beyond those guys, then you got Brandon Sproat, you got Christian Scott coming back, I could list off the names. We've made it very clear, somebody's going to have to go here. There's simply not enough room for everybody.
I agree with that. And I also agree with the fact that, like, listen, I would love to just think about 2026 and say, let's just mail it in and let's just wait for all of these prospects to be ready, except for the fact that A, that wouldn't be fun, and B, Juan Soto. And I feel like we have
And Lindor.
Lindor, right? Like, there's a really great opportunity actually to win now, which kind of brings me, or I guess I'm circling back around to what I always thought, which was that you never with this Mets team had to actually reinvent the wheel completely. What happened last year was beyond, was unheard of, disgusting, so many words that start with a D.
Sickening.
But at the same time, disaster class, devastating. Sorry. It just goes on and on and on. We could probably go back and forth on that for a while. But the point is, I don't actually anticipate that's just not something you see a lot. That was, I really believe, a rarity. Something bizarre was going on there. It was partially a culture and a chemistry thing. It was partially a leadership thing. It was partially a clubhouse thing. And it was just a little bit wonky. And I really don't, in my heart of hearts, believe that that is actually going to happen again. I think that if the Mets have a talented lineup, then they will do things that talented teams do, and you will see them back in the playoffs.
I agree. And I think a great step towards that is Kyle Tucker.
Final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
Final thoughts. We are chugging towards final thoughts. I hope that the Bregman deal, I'm going to finish with what I started with, gets things in motion. Bellinger and the Yankees figure their stuff out. Kyle Tucker goes somewhere. I just sort of want the pieces to fall into place because it is January. Last week I said we're 6 weeks from spring training. That means we're 5 weeks out from pitchers and catchers right now. These guys need a home, and these teams, honestly, headed into spring training, fan bases, podcasters, reporters want to know, you know, what their team is shaping up to be this year. Because I just feel like with the Mets, we've been in this area of large question mark for 2 months. And I'm ready to get into the light and to see, really have the pieces fall into place. But on the Kyle Tucker front, Dodgers fans, Blue Jays fans, baseball fans, let us know. Where do you think Kyle Tucker's going to sign? Where would you like him to sign? But where do you think is the most realistic place for him to sign? I'm going Blue Jays. Where do you think Tucker's going? Genuinely.
I think the Mets.
All right.
I really think that.
I'm into it.
And I said that about Juan Soto too. I really think that this is the move where Steve Cohen is like, you know what? Enough is enough. David Stearns, I trusted your vision, and I still do, but we have to go all in on someone, and this is the guy who we're going to go all in on. I think you're going to see it within the next 3 to 5 days.
All right, let's lock it up. That would be, and don't forget it, that would be the Mets winning free agency last 2 years.
2 years in a row, baby. Give them something to talk about. Give the podcast something to talk about, please.
Please.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you back here when the next big thing happens, maybe this week.